Count Binface, you'll know these figures by now, won 9,455 votes. Nigel Farage won 22,239 votes. Why do you think so many people voted for a bin instead of the Reform candidate?
Well, and let's also point to the fact that the Tories got 0 votes, the Liberal Democrats got 0 votes.
Because they weren't there.
Labour Party got 0 votes. Yeah, I'm well aware, Charlie, that these parties weren't there. They were frit. They were frit to stand against Nigel. They knew what the result would be. They are political cowards. So, there are people in politics, unfortunately, that don't support our policies and don't support our candidate. That's the same with every politician.
Well, 9,455 people in Clacton.
Well, there you go. This is GB News Originals. I'm Emily Carver. Please do give this video a like and subscribe to our channel for more content like this. And do leave a comment. Let me know what you think.
Voted for Count Binface. I wonder how you account for that.
I see you making a big deal of Count Binface getting all these votes, but the main three parties weren't standing, so their votes have got to go somewhere. I tell you what, you've not mentioned, Charlie. You've not mentioned the fact that Nigel's votes have gone up by 1,000 on a much lower turnout. You should be talking about that, not Count Binface.
Oh, that's fine. We'll talk about that as well, of course. What do you think this changes in terms of the narrative around Nigel Farage himself?
It sticks 2 fingers up to the Westminster blob, the bubble, the media, the circus that runs around it. And it says to the people in the wider country that, Nigel's here to stay. He's put his faith in the people of Clacton. They'll be judge and jury, not the people in Westminster, not the politicians, not any kangaroo court, not you lot at the BBC. The people of Clacton will be the judge and jury of Nigel Farage. And it's quite evident to me, going around the constituency, knocking on hundreds of doors, driving around on the battle bus, that there's a lot of deep affection and love for Nigel Farage in this neck of the woods.
Nigel Farage has been re-elected. He's got a big majority. He took a good chunk of the vote, 62%. But a lot of people will say, wasn't this a complete waste of time and money? He's still the MP for Clacton. Everybody knows he's popular in Clacton. Exactly what question was this by-election trying to answer?
Well, first of all, the people that's saying, Miriam, that it's a waste of money aren't really speaking about the by-election in Makerfield, which I think was a waste of money, £250,000 for that, to allow Andy Burnham to sneak into Westminster and become the Prime Minister. And also, as a consequence of that by-election, it then cost another £4 to £5 million to have the mayoral election.
Two wrongs don't make a right, Lee, and you can criticise the Makerfield by-election whilst also admitting this one was a bit of a waste.
Well, I'm not saying it's a wrong, Miriam, but, it's a bit rich from the other party to start bleating on. They put candidates up in Makerfield. They didn't see that as a waste of time. But this, as Nigel says, is a ringing endorsement from the people of Clacton to make sure that Nigel Farage is their representative in Westminster. And basically what they've done is they've stuck 2 fingers up to the establishment, and fair play to them.
OK. Now he's been re-elected back to Parliament, he can set out answers to all of the questions he spent the summer trying to avoid. What's been going on with this £5 million dodgy gift? What about his connections to a convicted fraudster? The sleaze and the scandal is just piling up. And Nigel Farage forced this, ridiculous stunt upon people in order to avoid having to answer some of these questions that are really serious, that he refuses to engage with, and now he's been re-elected back to Parliament, he's going to have to answer because...
Why was Mr Farage not at the count last night or the early hours of this morning?
Because his security team were very concerned about a credible threat to his security, and with the greatest of respect, I don't think anybody should have the temerity to question our judgments and our security team's judgment about security and safety.
This appears also to be at odds because we heard Mr Farage said he would not be attending because he didn't want it to be demeaned and humiliated. So that's nothing to do with his safety. He doesn't want to stand next to someone dressed as a dustbin.
Nigel has just won an outstanding victory. He's got... Voters in Clacton have said, we want more Nigel, not less Nigel.
Is it because he didn't want to be demeaned and humiliated, as he said, or you're now telling me that it's his security team who overrode Essex Police? Which is it?
I've just told you, I'm delighted to tell you again, I trust the judgment of Nigel's security team above everybody else.
So his suggestion he would be demeaned and humiliated is nonsensical.
If you're going to ask me a question, do me the courtesy of letting me answer it. I've just told you, let's trust Nigel's security team to keep him safe, secure and alive.
Why did he say he would feel demeaned and humiliated in attending then?
That's got nothing to do with the security point. They are separate
No, but
points.
why did he say that?
I don't know, Nick.
Mr Farage made his announcement at a Reform UK rally. Did you know before then that he was not planning to attend this count, or was that the first you heard of it?
No, I didn't know. No.
You didn't?
No.
So he didn't say to you earlier on, I've had this threat, please, is it okay with you if I don't come to the count?
No,
what happened exactly? You just saw, or you were informed
yes.
That at his event, his victory rally, as he would put it, he said he wasn't going to attend.
Yes, I wasn't aware that he wasn't attending.
How do you feel about that?
So I think that I'm not going to comment on individual candidates, but what I would say is that going back to saying is what my job is to make sure that we complete this count. It's a very complex count, unique, and my job is to make sure that it's completed safely and also is completely and open transparently, and we declare the winner as and when we can.
Welcome to one of the most bizarre by-elections in recent political memory. There's a record number of candidates. I've got the ballot paper here. I'm not sure we can actually fit it onto the screen. There are so many. They include
Farage wins
course,
Clacton
well
again,
three from
but the
monster raving Looney
questions
Party,
won't go away.
Everyone is God Party, and of
right,
course,
settle in, because this one has everything. A by-election with more candidates than a Saturday morning car boot sale. A leader who claims police warned him off his own count. A police force that says no such thing happened. And a rival camp openly using the word sleaze. Welcome back to Britain Underneath, the channel that actually reads past the headline. Before we get into it, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and turn notifications on, because this channel lives on people like you coming back week after week.
Or an unserious one rather than the
Let's
Prime Minister
dive
in waiting. He insists he is.
The polls are closed in Clacton, but the result will not eclipse Farage's wrongdoing. Nigel Farage has just spent 38 days fighting a bin, while Labour has been cutting business rates, capping bus fares and cracking down on vape and betting shops. Let's be clear, beating a bin will not distract from Farage's dodgy £5 million gift, his relationship with a convicted fraudster and all of the other scandals that Reform always find themselves engulfed in. He only called the by-election because he knows Reform scandals are piling up by the day, and he knows that his excuses for this sleaze have been utter rubbish. Nigel, it's time to come clean with the public.
Lee Anderson turns on the BBC. You're very rude. Inside the Clacton row that's exposing Britain's media establishment. Right, settle in, because this one's got everything. A stunning by-election win, a furious Reform chairman, a BBC presenter caught on the back foot, and a police force that's now flatly contradicting the man who just topped the poll. If you're new here, I'm your host on Britain Underneath, and before we go any further, hit that subscribe button now, because what you're about to hear is the kind of story the mainstream outlets would rather you scrolled past. Let's dive straight in. Clacton. A seaside constituency most people couldn't have pointed to on a map a few years ago. But this week, it became the epicentre of a row that says more about the state of British politics and British broadcasting than almost anything else this year. Nigel Farage has taken the seat with a commanding tally north of 22,000 votes, a genuinely emphatic result. And yet Farage himself wasn't even there to see it declared. No triumphant walk to the podium, no handshake with the returning officer, nothing. His team say he was advised to stay away by Essex police, citing what they called a credible threat to his safety. Essex police, for their part, say there's been... Before we go further, if you want the full, unfiltered picture of what's really happening beneath the surface of British politics, this channel exists for exactly that. Subscribe to Britain Underneath, turn on notifications, and you won't miss the next one. Anderson, Reform's chairman, went on Radio 4's Today programme the following morning And it did not go smoothly for host Justin Webb. Pressed repeatedly on why Farage skipped the count and on whether that threat was ever substantiated, Anderson didn't budge an inch. He explained that Farage's time was, in his words, better spent with the activists, counsellors and supporters who'd been up half the night celebrating. A fair enough answer on the face of it. But when Webb kept pushing on the safety claim, Anderson's patience ran out live on air. He told the presenter to stop interrupting, called him rude to his face, and then delivered the line that's now doing the rounds everywhere, that Reform voters had, in his words, made a defiant gesture toward the political establishment and the broadcaster itself. Not exactly diplomatic, but undeniably watchable.
And here's where it gets properly interesting. Anderson didn't stop at criticising the interview style. He went further, accusing the BBC, and by extension the wider media class, of running what he called a sustained campaign against Farage for years. Whether you buy that framing or not, it's a claim that resonates with a huge chunk of this country right now. And that resonance is exactly why this story matters far beyond one heated radio segment. This is a channel built on cutting through that noise. So if that's your kind of thing, now's a perfect moment to subscribe to Britain Underneath. It genuinely helps this channel keep digging where others won't.
Now, let's deal with the safety question properly, because it's the part everyone's talking past each other on. Farage's camp say police warned him off attending in person, describing an organised effort to disrupt and undermine his win. Essex police, in a formal statement, say there were no incidents or issues connected to the by-election, and stress that the choice to attend or skip a count always rests with the candidate and their security team, not the force itself. They add that a full policing operation was in place, as it would be for any significant contest, and thank the officers and council staff who worked through the night. Read those two accounts side by side, and you get a genuine credibility gap. Not a conspiracy, not necessarily a cover-up, but two institutions telling noticeably different stories about the same evening, and neither one has fully explained the discrepancy since.
When Webb suggested on air that Anderson seemed unusually angry, Anderson pushed back on that too, insisting he was simply tired after a long night of celebrations, and that the mood within Reform was, overall, a happy one. Make of that what you will. But strip away the theatre for a second, and what you're left with is this. A party that's just won a significant seat, a broadcaster accused of hostility it denies, a police force distancing itself from claims made in its name, and a leader who wasn't even in the room when his own victory was announced. That's not a small story. That's a genuinely strange set of circumstances for what should have been a straightforward celebration.
So where does this leave us? It leaves us with a British political landscape that's more fractured, more suspicious of its own institutions, and more combustible than it's been in a long time. Whatever side of this you land on, take a breath, stay properly informed, and don't let anyone, broadcaster or politician, tell you what to think about it. That's what this channel is for.
If this kind of story matters to you, please subscribe to Britain Underneath before you go. It costs nothing, it takes 2 seconds, and it's the only reason channels like this can keep telling you what's really happening underneath the headlines. Stick around till the end of every video, because the details are always where the real story lives, and there's plenty more of it waiting for you right here. See you in the next one.